I just need a reason why you think Muhammad's a true prophet. We'll work from there, bro.
So, one, it talks about Moses and it talks about the prophets of God, and there is some kind of morality to what he brings. Although there's a lot of negative things that he does, and that's why I'm telling you I'm going to approach it from there. We can look at the life of David. David has also committed some of those crimes. Solomon has committed some of the sins, and
Okay, now
I'm not trying
pause for a second.
to.
When David committed those crimes, did God rebuke him and chasten him?
Absolutely,
When Solomon committed those crimes, did God chasten him, rebuke him?
absolutely.
But when your prophet lusted for his adopted son's wife and then abolished adoption after marrying her, did Allah rebuke him or did Allah make that part of the divine legislation?
Allah picked it as a part of, he told him, you shouldn't be afraid to do this,
Exactly.
that he has already planned for this to happen. So,
So I
you
want everyone to hear what you
see,
said. Allah already
when,
planned for Muhammad to commit adultery in his heart, lust for a married woman, and lust for his adopted son's wife, causing the divorce, to marry her and then destroy adoption. So your God decreed this, so how can it be the God of the Bible?
I'm just coming with a claim that when God decrees something, this is my claim, this is my particular claim. When God decrees something, you as a human, you have no authority to say that it's not moral. In fact, I'm just trying to say God is
Actually, I
the
do
one
have
who
a
gives
basis. Well, let me
morality.
tell you what my basis is. I don't assume God decreed it. That's the argument, what he's giving you. Prove to us Allah is the God who decreed it, because you went to the Bible. When I look at the character of the God of the Bible, he condemns what your God had your prophet do. So they're not the same God. So why should we believe Muhammad?
Um, I'm just trying to say that there is a particular claim that Allah is the most powerful, is the all-knowing, and is the omnipresent God. So when I'm putting that
You
claim
believe
down,
Allah's omnipresent? I don't mean because you're making. I don't mean to cut you up, but I'm trying to see because you believe Allah's present everywhere.
oh come on, like you're going to
No, I'm
touch
asking
me.
you. What do you mean? Come on, the Salafis don't believe that. They'll sell
Oh
you for a
come,
fee. But they don't believe that.
Sam, let's just go with simple
Okay, but
argument.
I need to know
Maybe
what you believe
maybe
because
I'm
the
not sure about
Salafi.
that.
See again, the Salafis say Allah is present by His knowledge, but He Himself is not omnipresent. Do you believe that?
No, I've just retracted my statement. I've just said that
Okay.
I'm not sure about the omnipresent, so I don't feel like maybe you need to go hard on me on that. But
Okay.
my
Come on. I'm
claim
just
is
going clarification. Go ahead. Go ahead.
my claim is so simple that God has that power to declare the things that you perceive as wrong, He can declare them as right. Because
I see.
initially, we know so well that morality depends on God. So you can't make a claim that one day God now decides something that you've been thinking that it's immoral. Now he turns it another day, he makes it to be moral. So then you have to be wondering like, oh, like now God has now become immoral when you know so well is the source of morality. So in this specific context where Sam has brought up, where the issue with Zaid and Muhammad, I'm just trying to put that concept and in that context that that day God decided that giving the wife of Zaid to Muhammad is something that was necessary. I don't know how it
I
was
see.
necessary, but
Good.
uh, I'm very specific with the
I want
with this
everyone to hear
point.
what you said. You're admitting Allah gave a man's wife to your prophet.
That's what's written. Like it's
Okay,
right
good.
there. I can't deny that.
So you admit that, but then the example was, and then Jay is the one who knows logic. He can then come and put those. But I just want everyone to hear this. I'm glad you're honest enough to admit that. But the example for Muhammad doing was that, according 33:37, was so that he could set an example for other men to also marry the divorced wives of their adopted sons, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, good. You're honest. I really respect that because I have to force myself to admit that now. But then you then know that then right afterwards, abolish adoption, right?
Exactly. I know that.
Oh, good. You know this. So then what kind of example was Muhammad setting by marrying the divorced wife of his adopted son so that other people can do it when Allah knew he's going to abolish adoption?
This kind of feels like, like a long-term effect on the things, because I'm going to be very honest. I don't know what's the purpose or what's the principle that Allah is trying to play with us there about giving Zaid's wife to Muhammad. But yeah, I want you to hear me out. I want you to hear me out. Like
Can I ask one more question? And I'll hear you out. Just one more question.
Okay.
One more. And I promise I'll let you out. Here's it. So Allah took a woman. Okay, Zayd was married to this woman and he was intimate with her. Now Zayd has to look to that woman as his mother, even though at one time he was intimate with her and having sex. Don't you think there's something weird with that picture? A woman that I slept with and had sex with, now she's one of the mothers of the believers, and I have to look at her as my mother. So you don't have a problem with that picture?
You do realize that I admitted that, okay, personally I don't agree with that, with the whole of that concept. Personally I don't agree with it, but I want you to hear me out. Just give me this time, hear me out a bit. Personally, I don't agree with that whole concept of Zaid's wife becoming Muhammad's wife, but hear me out. My point is, God can decide one day that killing all humans on earth is moral, then he can do it. I want you to hear me from that perspective. He can decide one day killing all humans on planet earth is moral, then he can do it. Then we have nothing against him. Although you guys can come across then say that, okay, that's not God, but we know so well that God one day can decide that. It's an open possibility. Then I'm going to tie you to the issue of David and Bathsheba. When David commits adultery with Bathsheba, God knows it's a sin, and God comes and rebukes David about it. After he rebukes David about it, there is a punishment that David faces, and that punishment is that Bathsheba gives birth and the child dies. I don't know if I'm correct on that.
Yes, 2 Samuel 12. Yeah, what about it?
Okay. So take it from this perspective. Bathsheba gives birth, the child dies. We know back then God says no child will be paying for the sin of who?
Yeah, you're going to another Ezekiel 18 to run. You're taking those out of context. So I mean, you're jumping from here and here.
I'm going to bring the argument to the issue of Zaid. I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to harmonize it.
There's no moral equivalence. Let me explain why.
I'm going to harmonize it. Just let me
address your false analogy. I know you want to preach, but take it easy. It's not just preaching.
No. Let me finish the argument.
Okay.
So the point is, there is a time that God said that it's moral to not punish the child in place of the father. But today, in terms of David, God has decided.
You're misquoting. This is the third time I just told you. You're misquoting Deuteronomy 5.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
Deuteronomy 24:16, and you're misapplying Ezekiel 18. So this is why I say, stop preaching. Let me correct your mistake. The mistake you're making is, so you cut me off. We're not having a conversation. Do you want to go preach to Shabir Ali? Let me address your mistake. If you read Ezekiel 18 in context, that has nothing to do with whether someone's actions can affect someone else, good or bad. In other words, if I'm a drunk driver and I smash into a car and I kill everyone in that car, they suffer because of my sin, but they're not punished for my sin. I'll be held accountable for that sin. You're confusing apples and pineapples. Now, let me come back and address why God took that child, because this is the mercy of God. I'll explain why. If that child was allowed to be lived, that would be a stigma, because everyone would know that child is the fruit of adultery. So God in his mercy could take that child in a state of grace. That child now would dwell with God, because we're not atheists. We believe in an afterlife. That child now lives with God, and he's not punished. But that child is spared the scorn and the stigma of being oppressed and being viewed as a bastard seed of an adulterous relationship. But you don't see the wisdom of God because you're not reading the scripture in its context.
Oh, come on. Okay, I'm listening. I'm listening right now. I think this is part of learning, so I'm kind of listening.
Good.
So I feel
There's
okay.
I think there's another mistake that's being made, which is that in the argument that you gave, if I understood it, about the situation of Zaid, you were likening it to God flooding the world. It's not a situation where something is moral or immoral just based on God's arbitrary decree at that moment. The reason that the world was flooded was because humans were wicked. So it's an action of justice. And in the same situation with these other cases, like when God makes these judgments, it's because of sin and wickedness. It's not that he's arbitrarily just deciding, okay, right now this is good, and then tomorrow I'm going to switch and this is going to be evil tomorrow. So good can't become evil and evil can't become good.
Okay, I'm getting that one. But you do agree with me that there is morality is tied to God, and when Muslims, us as Muslims, come across and say that, okay, you guys know that morality is tied to God. We are saying that God has declared this to be moral. We are getting our we are making a claim that this moral authority, this action of moral authority, we are tying it to the most powerful God, who is Allah. So
But,
I don't
but
know if
you
you guys are
believe
getting my
that it's
argument.
just what he decrees. That's called theological voluntarism. And so Allah could decree the evil's good or that good is evil. We don't believe that. We believe that things have natures, they have qualities. God can't lie and say that good suddenly today is evil, and then in 3 years, oh, now actually I've changed my mind. Now evil is actually good. Why? Because, as Paul says, it is impossible for God to lie because God's character dictates his actions. Because he has a holy nature, holy character, he will never do something evil or declare good to be evil. But as I understand your Quran, Allah is actually a really cunning deceiver, and he tricks people with phantasms of Jesus being, killed on the cross, but it didn't really happen. So you actually have a God who literally engages in deception and lies. We don't.
It's not the same.
Okay. But I okay. That
Can you
point.
give us
Okay,
some
maybe
positive proof
I'm
that
kind of
Muhammad is a
getting it.
prophet? Because we spent 20 minutes on morality. He wants an argument for why Muhammad is a prophet. Can you give us at least something so we don't talk about morality and how it can change depending on circumstances because Allah can do what he wants? What's the proof Muhammad is a prophet? Because that's what
One
Gabriel
of
wants.
I'll just go with the kind of influence that he has. It's parallel to the kind of influence that Jesus has. So I don't know if God is just sitting down, and if Muhammad was a false prophet, I don't know if God is just sitting down and saying that, okay, this man is so powerful, is overtaking me in terms of people who are believing in him and the impact that he has. I don't know if
So
how you guys can
So
explain
all
that.
of the people who believe in false polytheistic religions, are they also of God? Does that prove that polytheism is true? Because probably a majority of the world still believes in some kind of polytheism.
Yeah, like Hinduism, right?
I wouldn't talk for Hinduism because I don't know anything about Hinduism. But if they
But do you
brought
understand
for
the
me,
point, though? Because the point is that the argument that you made was that God wouldn't allow this influence to be there unless it was of God. And by the same token, Hinduism has duped millions, perhaps billions of people. So why isn't Hinduism true?
Yeah. Especially in India, the militant Hindus are persecuting Muslims, Christians. They seem to be dominant.
but that one is on a scale of India. So on a scale of the whole earth, it depends. I don't know if you guys are getting my argument. My argument is,
That's an arbitrary
this
point. That's
different
why it
sect.
doesn't work. It's a bad argument because it's arbitrary. So, like, what's the number by which is it? What, 2 billion? If 2 billion people believe it, then it's true and of God. 1 billion. That's the point. Is that it's arbitrary. It doesn't make any sense. It's not going to be
Feel
proven
you.
by the number of
What you're
people.
saying.
So,
I feel
what,
what
the
you're saying.
religion becomes true when 1 billion and 1 person believe it? I mean, this is a silly argument.
My
I
friend,
really
I think you have a good argument. Why don't you come back so others can ask questions? We appreciate you.